Every day and every night, we're going to be here asking your questions and getting you the answers.
That's a good question, Rusty.
KBTX News 3.
The Central Gulf Coast is preparing for the dangerous Hurricane Ida. It continues to strengthen as it nears the coast. Plus, we're now learning more about the operation targeting ISIS-K after the suicide bombing at the Kabul airport in Afghanistan, and how some familiar faces got dirty for a local good cause.
Local, trusted. This is News 3 at 6 on KBTX.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Clay Falls. Many people along the Gulf Coast are preparing for what forecasters predict will be a Category 4 Hurricane Ida. For some, that means getting out. Ted Oberger's hunkering down to cover the story.
In New Orleans tonight, there is a sense that people are getting ready. Just look at this madhouse of a gas station. Gerald Mercandale just shakes his head at it.
It's crowded. You know what I mean? Like, they should have got their gas at 12.
He's getting out of here, heading to Florida with his pregnant girlfriend and stepson to get out of the way of this storm.
How well does this city do in Category 4 storms?
Was you here for Katrina?
Mm-hmm.
Did it do good?
No.
Was the pumps working?
No.
Well, you got your answer.
This powerful storm is strengthening so fast and will get here so quickly. The mayor of New Orleans, a city literally under sea level, says it cannot be evacuated.
The city cannot issue a mandatory evacuation because we don't have the time.
A sobering thought for this city and this state 1 year to the day after Hurricane Laura hit. Today, damage from that major storm still visible in Lake Charles. Ida expected to arrive in New Orleans Sunday, 16 years to the day Hurricane Katrina drowned this city.
We have a very serious situation on our hands. This will be a life-altering storm.
When Katrina was here, hey, I had to stand in the water, and I slept on the bridge for 2 days. I'm not about to do that again.
Definitely a potentially dangerous storm as it continues to push through the Gulf of Mexico. Let's get you the latest on Ida. As of the latest advisory that we got in from the National Hurricane Center at the top of the 4 p.m. hour, maximum sustained winds up to about 105 miles per hour. It is now considered a Category 2 hurricane as it sits just under 250 miles to the south-southeast of the mouth of the Mississippi River. Now, it is expected to continue to push through those warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico, so combine that with some light upper level winds and plenty of moisture, it is expected to strengthen into a Category 3 hurricane tonight and then potentially into a Category 4 hurricane before it makes landfall along the southeastern portions of the Louisiana coastline by tomorrow afternoon. And then that will continue to move farther up to the north as well as the east. So impacts are expected to stay east of the Brazos Valley. Not expecting that here locally, but hurricane warnings, tropical storm warnings, as well as storm surge warnings in effect for portions of the Louisiana coastline. That even reaches over to parts of Mississippi and Alabama as folks that way prep for some heavy rainfall, high winds, as well as some dangerous storm surge.
Thank you, Mia. The remains of the 13 U.S. service members killed in the terrorist attack outside the Kabul airport are being transported back to the United States. More than 170 other people were killed in the suicide bombing on Thursday. President Joe Biden vowed revenge, and we're now learning more about the operation targeting ISIS-K. John Lawrence reports.
The U.S. military carrying out a targeted drone strike in retaliation for a deadly suicide bombing claimed by ISIS-K Thursday in Kabul.
2 high-profile ISIS targets were killed and 1 was wounded. And we know of 0 civilian casualties.
A U.S. defense official tells CNN they believe at least one of the targets had links to potential future attacks on the airport. Pentagon spokesman John Kirby says the targets were hit in a single strike, and they were all ISIS-K planners and facilitators.
The threats are still very real. They're very dynamic, and we are monitoring them literally in real time.
Afghan journalists who visited the site of the drone strike near Jalalabad say it killed a man, woman, and a child and injured several other people. The U.S. military retaliating just days ahead of the deadline to withdraw from the country.
We may be leaving Afghanistan, but we aren't quitting it. And I think if you listen closely to the president, he is explaining what the post-August 31st presence of the United States is. It is clearly going to be covert operations.
This comes as the U.S. military and coalition forces race to get American citizens and vulnerable Afghans out of the country before August 31st.
I don't care what happens with the Taliban after the withdrawal. I don't care what the conversations the U.S. government has with them, and I don't care what they ask. There will be lethal strikes after September 1st. Bet on it, because we got to take out ISIS-K. It's going to happen.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
The Pentagon said that any U.S. passport holder can get into the airport at Kabul. This after a U.S. embassy in Kabul alert on Friday warned U.S. citizens at the airport gates to leave immediately due to security threats and avoid traveling to the airport. Well, President Joe Biden announced a plan to raise wages for federal employees. In a message to Congress released on Friday, he said civilian federal employees will see an overall average increase of nearly 3% next year. President Biden recommended how the pay increases would be divided. He said the equation would be made up on across-the-board base pay raise of 2.2%, with locality pay increases averaging 0.5%. Across Texas, thousands of people remain hospitalized with COVID-19. Today, over 13,700 are in Texas hospitals with the virus. For perspective, hospitalizations remained under 2,000 the whole month of June. Only 325 ICU beds are available in the entire state at this time. Here locally, our regional hospital area still has no ICU beds available. It has now been over 2 weeks since we've had an open ICU bed in our region. There are over 150 people hospitalized with the virus in our local hospitals. A monoclonal antibody treatment that was shelved because it wasn't effective against COVID at the time is now being brought back to market. The U.S. paused distribution of Eli Lilly's dual monoclonal antibody treatment in June because it was ineffective against the beta and gamma variants, but studies are now showing the drug combination is surprisingly effective against the Delta variant. According to the CDC, the Delta variant accounts for nearly 96% of COVID in the U.S. now. With its return to market, doctors now have 3 different monoclonal antibody treatments to use in the fight against coronavirus. The 10th annual Hog Splash Mud Volleyball Tournament made its return today. 38 teams made up of businesses and residents dove into the mud pits at Slovacek's Food and Snook for a good cause. Proceeds from the event benefit Hospice Brazos Valley, the only nonprofit hospice provider in the region.
Reimbursement for medical expenses in our country are declining all across the medical spectrum, and so the money that we receive from Medicare, Medicaid, private insurance really doesn't cover the cost of our care. And so events like this help us make up the difference.
Some familiar faces from Team KBTX even got muddy for the cause. Horshaw says Hospice Brazos Valley is grateful for the support of the community. And now you're getting a live look at the 12th Jam Music Festival right next to Kyle Field. There's still time to take in the fun and entertainment, including live music, food, and even a Ferris wheel. The festival ends at 10 p.m. Coming up, we take a look at the partnerships that are essential to maintain our nation's food security in this week's From the Ground Up.
It's all about people, it's all about home. Working together, loving our own. From country roads to our city streets, it's the neighbors we love and the new ones we meet. KBTX, the very best we can give. We're here where you need us, here where you live, seeing life the way that you choose. Oh, yeah. News 3, this is your news. KBTX, it's the time that we share. It's for you, it's for me. People who care, Brazos Valley, this is for you. News 3, this is your news.
Fly-by cameras are sponsored by Norman G. Tractor. Nobody beats Norman G. Tractor.
You're watching News 3 at 6 on KBTX.
Every now and then you'll hear the term public-private partnerships, businesses working alongside local government or even academia to unite around a certain mission. One of the ways that's on display is at the world's largest beef convention held every year. Here's this week's From the Ground Up.
What happens when the supply chain for the food that we eat gets disrupted? Labor force is an issue. Immigration causes issues to the supply chain. There are lots of other issues outside of just general production things that really have an impact on how we produce food and how we are food secure in the country.
There's a lot more to consider than just getting from farm to market in agriculture. As the department head of animal science at Texas A&M University, Cliff Lamb is focused on giving his students and researchers everything they need to know about being better animal scientists. And their attendance at the Beef Cattle Short Course every year is crucial.
Not just in terms of how we produce those animals and how we create value in those animals, but what are some of the things that are going to affect us in the future? I mean, we look at climate and how is that going to affect us from a drought standpoint or a rainfall standpoint.
Lamb says animal science can mean biology, earth science, and even political science.
There's going to be discussions on policy, so making sure we understand what policy is going to be coming out and having a positive or a negative impact on livestock producers, giving them the tools right now to be productive.
He says this is the culmination of an important partnership with academia and producers.
Many of our faculty members are also here, right, learning from some of the best people. They're doing a lot of the educating, but our hope is that we're learning too at the same time. Understanding what people are going through is important to being able to teach them. So if you know what they're dealing with, we can actually go out and find solutions.
Another example of how scientists and producers alike are working to keep us fed and secure from the ground up.
From the Ground Up is sponsored by Producers Cooperative, proudly serving agriculture since 1943.
We've got some scattered rain and thunderstorm activity roaming portions of the Brazos Valley as we speak. That fizzles after 8 p.m., but a few more downpours are possible tomorrow. More details right after the break.
Every night, you can count on KBTX and a team of dedicated journalists to be there for you. Local, trusted KBTX News 3.
News 3 weather from the Pinpoint Forecast team is sponsored by First Financial Bank. Local bankers putting you first. And now, local weather.
As you are getting ready to step out for any of those Saturday evening plans that you may have out and about, temperature is currently situated in the upper 80s and low 90s. As of the 6 p.m. observations, 90 degrees for us here in Bryan and College Station. Same for folks out in Caldwell as well as Huntsville in Walker County. But notice Brenham about 5 degrees cooler, currently sitting at about 85 degrees thanks to a little bit more of that rain-cooled air. We do have a cluster of non-severe thunderstorms that continues to push farther up to the west. That is continuing to move through places like Giddings in Lee County, stretching over just to the south of the 290 corridor in Washington, as well as northern Austin County. For the rest of the Brazos Valley, most of us are sitting on the quiet side. A few small isolated showers trying to pop up in Burleson County. As you're headed out, it's probably a good idea to at least hold on to the rain gear, keep it in the car through about 8 p.m. But generally after that, whatever is left out there on Pinpoint Radar looks to fizzle out thanks to the loss of daytime heat after the sun goes down. I do think we will hold on to a good portion of the cloud cover into the overnight. Temperature is getting down to the mid-70s early Sunday morning. We're already close to that 90-degree mark again by any lunchtime plans that you may have out there for the second half of the weekend. Daytime highs topping off just a few degrees warmer tomorrow compared to what we saw out there today. We officially got up to about 93 degrees over at Easterwood Airport. Notice we can't completely rule out a few more isolated downpours, maybe a few passing through in the morning, and then again about a 20 to 30% potential heading into the afternoon. Pinpoint forecast not overly optimistic about that, so not looking to be for everybody. Just know that we could find a few passing showers, maybe a stray rumble before the weekend is over tomorrow. But really notice heading into the beginning of the upcoming work week, those temperatures climb up just a bit above average in the mid to even upper 90s by Monday and into Tuesday afternoon. So we are looking at a little bit of a rise in the temperature trend, and that is really thanks to the backside of Hurricane Ida. Again, we're not expecting impacts from that hurricane after it makes landfall in southeastern Louisiana tomorrow, but what we are looking to find on the backside of that system is sinking air. So that's what's going to allow us to hold on to those warmer temperatures and isolated chances for rain. Can't completely get rid of the rain chances here over the next few days because notice by these deep deeper orange and red colors that you see here, that is just a little bit more of that tropical moisture trying to scoot in on the backside of that system. So only about a 20 to 30% potential pretty much daily through the better part of next week. Not for everybody. It's not going to touch your backyard each and every afternoon, but no, we'll at least have the potential to find just a few more of those isolated, maybe even scattered downpours for some portions of the area through the upcoming week. Again, speaking of Ida, folks farther off along the Gulf Coast definitely preparing for a potentially dangerous storm that is still expected to strengthen into a Category 4 hurricane tomorrow before it makes landfall. So Clay will continue to monitor that very closely over the next few days. But for us here in the Brazos Valley, just looking to be a little bit more toasty out there with some isolated chances for rain.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mia. Coming up next in sports, A&M head football coach Jimbo Fisher has named the new 12th man. Plus, hear from the Aggie soccer team ahead of tonight's home opener against 9th-ranked Clemson.
Well, 1 week from today, Aggie football kicks off the season at Kyle Field, and now the Maroon and White have a new 12th man. Texas A&M football named junior deep snapper Connor Choate as the 12th man ahead of the 2021 season. Choate will wear the revered number 12 jersey during the 100th anniversary season of A&M's original 12th man, when E. King Gill stood ready to assist the Ags back in 1922. Choate played in all 10 games last year as the team's primary deep snapper and was named Special Teams MVP. During his freshman campaign in 2019, the Capel product played in all 13 games and earned the Special Teams Newcomer Award at the annual team banquet for making big-time plays time and time again, downing punts inside the opponent's 5-yard line. Choate follows Braden White, who was the Aggies' 12th man for the past 2 seasons. A couple of football teams will have to relocate this week due to Hurricane Ida as they prepare to kick off the 2021 season. LSU is heading to Houston and will stay there until Thursday, when the Tigers leave for Los Angeles for their season opener at UCLA. And Tulane is headed to Birmingham to practice for their season opener against Oklahoma. Tulane is scheduled to play OU in New Orleans on September 4th. Now, as of now, the University of Oklahoma says the game is still on as planned, but both schools are considering contingencies should post-storm conditions warrant. College football did return today. In fact, the Big Ten kicked things off with Nebraska and Illinois. Nebraska's Marquise Stepp rushes in for a 2-yard touchdown, his first TD as a Husker, and the team's first in 2021. Nebraska leads at 6-2 in the second quarter. Then Adrian Martinez drops back and he's in trouble. Fumbles the ball. Calvin Hart scoops it up and takes it all the way for a 42-yard touchdown, putting the Fighting Illini up 16-9. They go on to win their season opener 30-22 to kick off the college football season. G. Guerreri and the Texas A&M soccer team have not started the season the way they had hoped, opening with a pair of losses to 2 top 10 teams. But tonight, the Maroon and White are excited to finally be back at Ellis Field for a chance to redeem themselves and get their first win in the home opener against 9th-ranked Clemson.
I would expect that we're going to see, a full house plus, and that's exciting. It's exciting for our players. Our players have been working hard. They deserve to play in front of such a large gallery.
The biggest thing we learned is just to play like us, not to worry about the other team, and just to do what we do best, which is play simple, keep the ball, keep possession. And if we do that, we can beat anybody who comes out to Ellis.
The Aggies and Tigers will kick off at 7 p.m. over at Ellis Field. Late last night, the Texas A&M volleyball team fell to Marquette in a season-opening 5-set thriller at the Hawaiian Airlines Rainbow Wahine Classic. The Aggies continue their tournament in Hawaii tonight against Fairfield First Service set for 9:45 Central Time. In high school volleyball today, Iola won the Navasota tournament. The Lady Bulldogs swept Franklin in a best-of-3 championship match, 25-21 and 15. And tonight at 7 o'clock, the Houston Texans play their final preseason game against Tampa Bay, with the NFL regular season opening in less than 2 weeks.
All right, let's get you one final look here at Pinpoint Radar as we get ready to wrap up things on News 3 at 6 as you are headed out for any of those Saturday evening plans, especially the farther east you travel. Most of us are sitting on the quieter side. We're pretty dry here in Bryan and College Station. Still keeping eyes on this non-severe cluster of rain and storms that honestly is coming down in coverage as that continues to push farther off to the west through portions of Lee County, reaching back over to Washington and Austin County. Can't completely rule out a few more downpours heading into Sunday afternoon. Temperatures maybe just a little bit warmer. We'll continue to hold on to those warm temperatures heading into the first half of the upcoming week.
We're fortunate to have good weather, but a life-threatening situation in Louisiana. We'll keep a close eye on Ida right now. Well, that's all our time for right now. We'll hope to see you back here at 10 or tune in
Thank you
anytime
for
at
watching
KBTX.com.
News 3 at 6 on KBTX. Local, trusted.
Getting your news is easier than ever. KBTX News 3 is available on your Amazon Echo or Echo Dot. Get your News 3 flash briefing today.